Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Against the Public for May 31st. I'm Dana Lane. Today we're going to go through my top 3 Major League Baseball free plays for Friday. And we're going to wrap it up by comparing a pitcher's fly ball percentage to cashing tickets. I really thought I had something here. I really didn't. It just made my head hurt. But I'm going to throw out the numbers anyway. Maybe you could dive into it and kind of tell me a little bit about that. But I do have a theory of why the numbers are the way that they are. But anyway, after the show, please go to Pickdawgz.com. I'll have my top Major League Baseball plays, my premium plays for tomorrow, and also we'll have side and total in tomorrow's NHL Western Conference clash between Dallas and the Edmonton Oilers. My single plays and my MLB 3-pack, as you know, $49.99 for the 3-pack. They both come with our Pick Dawgz win guarantee that states you must profit or receive an immediate site credit for the purchase price. In addition, there's only one way to get every single play that I release for one low price, and that's to become an all-access member. And you can do that for the next 30 days for less than $11 a day, the next 90 days for less than $10 a day, or better yet, guys, jump on board an annual all-access pass. Every play I release from now to this time next year for just $3.56 a day. And if you guys need any more, I try not to throw these numbers out there all the time, but I do need to throw them out a little bit so you guys know, hey, this is what you could be doing. Well, over the last 30 days, all access customers have cashed 55% winners. That's every play I release, 55% winners. To break that down further, in the NBA, absolute phenomenal run in the postseason. 8 of my last 11 plays have been winners. That's 73% win percentage, 465 units won. That's number 1 over the last 7 days. In Major League Baseball, customers have cashed 57% winners over the last 30 days. Just to give you an example of what we can do together. So roll your sleeves up. Let's get to work starting tomorrow. Go to Pickdawgz.com and let's get 2024 rolling in the right direction. Okay, on to our free winners for Friday. 1:10 Eastern Time, 9:01 and 9:02 Cincinnati Reds against the Chicago Cubs. Cubs minus 50, 8 under minus 6 is your total. Make sure to get a confirmation on the starting pitchers. I do suspect that Graham Ashcraft will start for the Cincinnati Reds against Javier Assad. Especially check the Cubs because there's a few sites out there that are not listing as starting pitching yet or to be determined. Always hate seeing that. But I do think Javier Assad would or should get the start for the Cubs tomorrow. But either way, it doesn't matter. Pick's the same. Looks like we do have some movement against with the Reds on the money line, but our focus in this game is going to be the total, where 7 of the last 10 Reds games have cashed under tickets. The Cubs have split their last 10, so that gives you a little bit of an idea of their recent form. This is another pitching matchup where I have to blink just ferociously when I see these numbers, because I try to imagine in my mind these odds makers sitting in the room and somebody actually throwing an 8 out there and everybody thinking, that's great, let's go with that. I thought 8.5 is at the very minimum that we would see in this game. And 8 just kind of blows my mind. We look at Ashcraft here. He's allowed just 3 runs. He's allowed at least 3 runs in his last 4 starts. And I know that doesn't sound too bad, but it is. His ERA is 6.52 in that span. His ERA over his last 3 starts is 7.63. So to give you an idea, if I use 3 earned runs as the example, go look at the numbers. It's far worse than that. As far as Assad is concerned, really good pitcher. Now, a lot of people don't know about it. He's 4-1 this season with a 2.17 ERA. He's coming off his worst start of the season against the St. Louis Cardinals, and really, his numbers are great, but don't get so lost in these numbers because he's going to give Craig Counsell about 5 innings in this game. Then they're going to hand it off to a bullpen that is 25th in Major League Baseball. This is an absolute trap, and we are not going to fall for it. I'm going to go under the 8 in the Cincinnati Cubs game tomorrow. Minus $1.06. There's also bankroll friendly as well. 7:10 Eastern Time, 9:05, 9:06. Arizona Diamondbacks against the New York Mets. Talk about a crazy number that we took advantage of yesterday. Mets minus $1.15. Again, how do we go? Yeah, let's send out $1.15 on the Mets. 7.5 minus 12 is your total. Jordan Montgomery against Luis Severino. To an extent, you could say both of these teams have been just a massive disappointment. But we could definitely say that about the New York Mets this year. They've lost 1,164 units on a $100 bet. If you bet their games $100, and every one of their games you'd be down almost $1,200. There is not a player in this lineup, and I know you can throw Pete Alonso out there all you want. There is not a player in this lineup. If I'm an opposing pitcher that I say, well, I can either beat them or I can pitch around them, because there's nobody in back of them that's going to force me to give Pete Alonso good pitches, and that's why he's hitting 226 this year. That's why he's got 12 homers. He's probably going to have a 30 home run year, but 226, man, I need to get a little bit more out of Alonso. It can't be feast or famine with him. He's got to give me a little bit more, especially when the team is giving me absolutely nothing. No matter who they put in a 4 spot behind Alonso, I don't care if they put Jeff McNeil back there, who used to be a former batting champion. He certainly is not performing up to that standard this year. But this is a Mets team that's 24th in Major League Baseball in batting average. The Diamondbacks are 12th in batting average and 10th in runs scored. So there is no comparison as far as lineups are concerned. Montgomery has really pitched well in his last 2 starts. Back-to-back quality starts for the Snakes, while Severino, as we know, up and down. I mean, one good start, one bad start. Once again, I think he's done this over his last 6 starts, at least over his last 4 starts. Just a guy that you can't rely on from start to start. It's a guy I can't lean on. We went yesterday and got a free pick with the New York Mets, and it escaped with a W in that one. I'm not in the business of putting my money behind the Mets, so we're going to take Arizona and another bankroll-friendly number, Arizona minus $1.05. 10:15 Eastern Time, last game, 9:29, 9:30. It's your get-out game on Friday. New York Yankees minus $1.38, 7.5 over minus 22 against the San Francisco Giants. Marcus Stroman against Jordan Hicks. Again, another pitching matchup where you want to make sure that Marcus Stroman is throwing in this game. I'm pretty sure that he is, but not an official confirmation yet. Tough to go against Stroman if he is. I mean, his numbers have been ridiculous. 1 earned run in his last 19 and a third inning. Yeah, that equates to a 0.47 ERA. The former Duke Blue Devils, I can't say that. As a UNLV fan, it's really hard to say Duke. He's allowed just 50 hits in 62 innings. Just phenomenal numbers for Stroman. If he keeps his walks and his homers to a minimum, or homers against to a minimum, we got an easy cash here. The problem comes when you walk a couple guys and somebody hits a bomb. Now you're down a crooked letter, our crooked number. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But I'm not gonna bet a game based upon the fact that I think that might happen. Yep, those are 2 things that he's got to avoid. But he's been absolutely on fire over his last few starts. As far as Jordan Hicks is concerned, his numbers have been great too. Equal, in fact, to Stroman, but he's going to give you 5 innings, and then Bob Melvin's going to go to a bullpen that ranks 22nd in baseball. And if we want to handicap bullpens, there's no comparison. The Yankees, one of the best bullpens in baseball. I'm going to take the Yankees minus $1.38, which I think is a fair number. So that's your free plays for today. Before we close, here's your handicapping pro tip for Friday, and I thought this was going to be so much better, and it's really not. But we're going to examine how a starting pitcher in their fly ball out ratio and how it affects the tickets that we cash. Or is he a fly ball pitcher? Really the same thing, I guess. But I thought we were going to jump into this, and I'm going to like, oh, wow, I can see how the higher your fly ball ratio or your fly ball percentage, the worse your record is. Well, that's kind of not it. But I think this is one of these statistics where you kind of have to wait for the season to play out a little bit. And I'll tell you why. And here's are the results. Pitchers that have a fly ball out percentage of 1 to 9.9%, not a lot. That's a small sample size. 8 and 5 this year. 10 to 19%, 99 and 105, still on the losing end, minus 14.59 units lost. Now it gets interesting. 20 to 29.9%, which means that's the percentage of fly ball outs that a pitcher has. This year, 285 and 301. Still a losing record, minus 30.52 units. You're like, okay, I could definitely see this progression. And then we got to put the brakes on. When we hit 30 to 39, like, what is this? 30 to 39 this year, 257 and 245. That's an actual win percentage, a winning percentage, plus 5.94 units. So not only is it a winning percentage, but it's also a winning percentage for your bankroll as well. 40 to 49, and it drops back down to 47 and 51, minus 7.11 units. Overall, fly ball ratio pitchers, that and keep in mind too, you're not going to get a lot of fly ball pitchers that are in the 60s and 70s. So that's why we're focusing on these numbers where a high fly ball rate or percentage is 40 is over 40. So that's why we don't look at like, well, what if they're 60% or 70%? If they're in the 60s and 70s, that just means that they're either a brand new pitcher or they're a relief pitcher that's starting a game during the season. That really doesn't hold any water. But if they're over that, maybe, I don't know, 35 even maybe, but definitely over 40, that's a guy that, or we'll say over 35, that's a guy who has a lot of fly ball out. So why are the numbers not as definitive as I had hoped? Well, there's one reason, and the one massive reason is a lot of pitchers, as the season goes on, you'll have two starting pitchers, and I only divided this by 20 to 29.9. That's a large range. I mean, we could break it down, 20 to 23 if we wanted to. I'd be here all night. That's a large range. So a lot of times what you're seeing is two pitchers that will have the same fly ball out percentage that will zero each other out. So that's why you see a lot of these numbers that are really close to each other record-wise. As the season goes on, it zeroes each other out. But again, what really sticks out is that 30 to 39. And I thought, wow, that's really going to that really bothers me. And I even found a little bit of a sweet spot too. I took the numbers and I went, well, what if a fly ball out percentage is between 30 and 35%? Well, pitchers' record in that case is 188 and 176 plus 1,151 units won, which means a lot of underdogs are winning with a percentage of 30 to 35%. The worst is 20 to 27%, 208 and 239, 43% winners this year. So anyway, going back to my dilemma, how could that actually be? Well, in order to answer that question, you had to go back into the archives. So I went back to 2018 and I ran those numbers again. So pitchers with a fly ball percentage of 30 to 35% are 2,913, 2,879. A little bit above 500, but minus 101.98 units. 20 to 27, which we've already determined was kind of a non-sweet spot, a bitter spot this year, 4,490, 4,517, minus 273 units. So the moral is, this did not yield this grand result that I thought I was going to be able to apply or give to you to apply. The fact of the matter is, it's only because we're only 2 months into the season. And so I fully suspect that as we get into the season, then you will start to see these numbers separate. And then we will, if you have the ability to really break down these numbers, then I will say, okay, this fly ball percentages are going to yield a worse return the higher they are. Just 2 months into the season, we're not seeing it yet, and that's why the numbers are what they are, which became a major disappointment to me because I was doing this for about an hour or so, and just didn't yield the results that I thought it was going to. But I think as we get into the summer months, I think that's going to change. So no, don't run out and start, betting fly ball pitchers that are, 30 to 30 in that 30 to 35% range, because I think if you actually go against them now, I think you're going to start to really reap the benefits from that, because those numbers are going to start to come back to what history says they should be. So anyway, I hope some of that made sense. I don't know if any of it made sense. I went through these and used every filter I possibly could, and I really was trying to give you something a little bit more substantial. But it's very interesting, and I would say that it's not something that you can lean on as far as handicapping, but it is certainly a component that you can put into the process a little bit, and saying, is my starting pitcher, do I have the best of the fly ball percentages here? And of course, you don't want a pitcher with a high fly ball percentage. So, maybe that's something that you can look for. But I will also throw the caveat in there, and I will wrap this up. Sorry. I will throw the caveat in there is pitchers are not going 8-9 innings anymore. So if you're looking at a pitcher, if you're looking at somebody who has a poor record and a high fly ball out percentage, and you're saying, well, I certainly have an advantage here, go that extra step and say, do I also have the advantage in the bullpen as well? Because you want to make sure that one accompanies the other, because the last thing you want is a guy to go in there and give you a good or bad outing, actually, because you want to go against them through 5 innings, and then all of a sudden bullpen comes in and blows it up. So that's all I got to say about that. Sorry, if you have anything specific, please leave a comment. I'll read them. But anyway, that's my man, I got problems. Anyway, here's our Friday recap. Cincinnati, Chicago under 8 minus $1.06. Arizona minus $1.05. New York Yankees minus $1.38. And congratulations, the Mets just closed out the Arizona Cardinals. So we took 2 out of 3 on our free picks yesterday. Really doing well on our free picks. So let's continue that on Friday. That does it for today's show. Thank you for watching. Please hit the like and subscribe button. For Against the Public, I'm Dana Lane. All the best to you. Oh yeah, and tomorrow is my daughter's graduation party, and I'm going to do my best to get this out as soon as possible, but I might be in party mode. But anyway, we'll do our best. We'll keep it professional. Have a great night. All the best to you and your wagers on Friday.